Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Wrong About Sports. I am sad Chicago Cubs fan, but hopeful Chicago Bears fan, Brian McDaniel.
And I am, hopefully rested and not sad Vikings fan because we were on a bye. Carla Bigham,
And we are
we are wrong
Wrong About
about
Sports.
sports.
Yeah, so if this is the first time that you're watching us, welcome to the show. If you're returning, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. For those of you who are brand new, Brian McDaniel and Carla Bigham here. We take a look at largely the NFL, but not just the NFL, with a little bit of a focus on the NFC North, seeing as though I'm a Bears fan, she's a Vikings fan. But this week, a little bit different because the Bears don't play until Monday night, which is tonight, and the Vikings were on a bye. So we're going to be looking a little bit prospectively at the Bears game, talk a little bit about the Vikings QB situation, talk a little bit about Packers and Lions game, and then kind of get into some potential firings in the NFL. But let's start off just kind of getting the Vikings quarterback news out of the way. So Tom Pelissero has said that the Vikings quarterback situation is even getting murkier with some worry that the game is going too fast for J.J. McCarthy. Now, part of me thinks he's a rookie. He's having rookie problems, which shouldn't be that surprising, but people do seem to be surprised by it. What do you think, Carla?
Yeah, I'm not surprised. And again, I'm going to just keep saying that we have good reason to have high expectations for J.J. McCarthy. He went to the, college championship game twice, won once. He was a, top recruit out of high school. He is a really, really good quarterback. He is. You have to remember out of the University of Michigan, they did run the ball a lot, but the dude can use his legs as well. And he has a really good arm, and so I think you have to look at the fact that we had injuries a lot to our offensive line, which is why, having this bye week came at a really crucial, time for us. Like literally our whole offensive line is injured. And, I don't even know what our center situation is going to be like. My guess is we're getting a new one in the draft, just breaking news in my opinion. But also on the defensive side, I think, you're going to stick with JJ McCarthy. You're not going to turn on him. You're not going to set him aside. You have, in my opinion, two really good reserves with Wentz and Brosmer. And, you have nothing to panic about. This NFC North division has turned into any given Sunday.
Yeah.
Because it's just like which team is showing up to win, because sometimes, like you have really strong Packers team. Other time it's like, what was that about? And then you could say that it's like, whoa, there was a Bears team you didn't see. And then it's like the Packers, squeak them out most of the time, but not always pretty. Like, Love didn't actually do all that. I thought he would do better against Cincinnati, but that was just my opinion. So anywho, I just think with McCarthy, you're going to stick with them. Wentz's, shoulder is still probably sore. I mean, that was, quite a hit he took. So we'll see. I think they're going to put McCarthy in and let him, fight this out and do what he does. He's very smart. He's just a very intelligent football player. And I think you've got to get him used to that pace.
Well, and I think part of what the Vikings are doing is similar to what the Bears have done with Trubisky, with Fields, and with Williams, where they're putting in these quarterbacks without a lot of NFL experience, and then not giving them the offensive line to give them any time to figure it out. Now, the Vikings are doing it out of injury. The Bears did it out of just sheer organizational incompetence. But I think that there's only so much they can expect, and I'm surprised at how quickly everything turned, because the second half of the Bears Vikings game, everyone's like, oh, JJ McCarthy is the best thing since sliced bread. And then by the next game, it's like, well, his career probably is going to be Christian Ponder and he's going to be out of the league. Everyone needs to the
Yeah.
internet, man.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to just calm down, take a deep breath, and realize that not everybody goes directly from college then gets injured. But then when they're a rookie, or
Twice.
yeah, essentially a rookie, it's going to take a little while, and you got to put the tools around him. And wide receivers, the Vikings have.
Mhm.
Running backs, the Vikings have. But if he doesn't have offensive line, you can't do a lot with those wide receivers and running backs.
No, and he was used to having a really good line at the University of Michigan. And I will say this, like people don't talk about this. Josh McGowan is like one of the most revered quarterbacks that has played in the NFL. No, dude, didn't do much as a professional quarterback, but he was a mentor to so many current quarterbacks and recent past quarterbacks. And then also like KOC, again, kind of in that same, realm of didn't do much in his professional career, but he was revered as he knew the game, he knew the fundamentals of the game, and he could explain them to people really well. So there you go. I mean, you have two people that really understand the position, the systems, and have done well with it. Now, I mean, everybody's going to second guess you, but I mean, Arnold isn't doing bad in Seattle. I will say that, but I mean, in the beginning, I said keep your eye on Seattle. They did a reorg and a regroup, and I think like same with San Francisco. Like, what the heck is that about? They can't stay healthy for nothing. They're just cursed. They are just absolutely cursed, and they keep winning. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not but normally they're doing pretty well. So let's talk just briefly about the Packer game. So Green Bay played Cincinnati, and we all know Cincinnati is a mess. They lost Joe Burrow. They put former Viking Jake Browning in, and Browning did pretty good last year, but he's not was not cutting it this year. And we talked on this show and lots of other ones about how the Bengals need to potentially bring in a whole different quarterback. I thought they weren't going to do that, just saying, you know what, we're cooked. Let's go, prepare for the draft. But no, they did make a trade, but they went off the bingo card a little bit by picking up Joe Flacco. Got him from Cleveland. Now, I'm going to be 53 years old this year. I'm pretty sure Joe Flacco and I went to junior high together.
Sure.
So he is aged, let's just say. And I think I was surprised that they traded for him within the division, by the way. And I'm a little surprised. I think he was a little surprised that he got moved.
Like we said last week, when you have someone like Russ Wilson and Kirk Cousins available and a little bit younger, and probably you can do some good negotiating.
Jameis Winston. I mean,
Jameis Winston is another one. There's another name. Like, I get you've paid Burrow a beep ton of money, right? In case there are kids listening. And so, like, I get that. You're not going to go and bring a Kirk Cousins for that kind of money. There are ways to negotiate, okay, to get you what you need to get there to win. But to bring an old man Flacco to try and do this, I mean, look, 219, 2 tutties yesterday. And Love did 259, a tutty and an interception. That's your typical Love. And he's my quarterback in one of my leagues this year, and I didn't start him. But I think when you look at Cincinnati, I mean, you're just going to try and limp through this season clearly. I would watch, there's a coach I would watch, he'll make it to season, but what do they call it? Bloody Monday. And he might be on the block, to be honest, if you can't regroup and redo that. But I will say this, rookie quarterback Matthew Golden from the Packers. So wide receiver for the Packers, that receiving core, is kind of, it circulates because they always get injured, but they are so young and just so like dynamic, very dangerous. The whole Packers team is very young, but he had 86 yards, 5 targets. Love does spread that ball around a lot. But like, it just, again, it was against the Bengals, and they squeaked it out 27-18.
Yeah, the Bengals made it a game at the end,
Yep.
but it was pretty well the Packers game in the first half. Josh
Yep.
Jacobs had a good game. He's showing that
Mhm.
any problems that he had in Vegas were obviously Vegas's fault, not his. So that worked out well. And then the Lions played last night on Sunday Night
Yeah.
Football. They
Ooh,
played the Chiefs in what
ooh,
should have been the game of the week, and it was a good game.
ooh.
It wasn't a
Yeah.
great game. It was interesting, but with Kansas City winning in easier fashion than I was certainly expecting. But
Right.
something that I missed at the
Yeah.
very end of the game was a little kerfuffle between
Kerfuffle.
a Donnybrook, if you will, between Juju Smith-Schuster and
Brian Branch.
and Branch.
Yep.
You can see on the screen here. So there were some pleasantries at the end of the game, and something happened that made Juju
Yeah.
upset. And then he expressed
Oof.
his pleasure to
Ooh.
Mr. Branch, who then tried to slap his face off his face. So
So
you
yeah,
guys saw that. I didn't see
I
it
did.
until you brought it up. So what were the announcers saying?
So they got real quiet and confused for a second. So then you always know something's going on. And then they turned it to the field, and it was like a massive pile. And like they quickly got Mahomes out of there, which of course, they're gonna get Mahomes out of there. He was kind of towards the bottom a little bit, because I
Was
think,
there a pile up?
yeah, there was a pile up, because there was some, rolling around and stuff. I do have to say, for the youngins that are playing football, you're using your hands, right? You're hitting a helmet. Okay. Not a good, like, don't do that. Don't do that. Like, I'm just, as an official, like, don't do that. Just be smarter than that. And don't fight. There's no place for that in football. Like, just go win, play them, outrun them, out tackle them, do what you got to do. Do not fight, because Mr. Branch is going to get really made an example of by the league. I'm going to tell you why. So, his coach, who I just admire, the Detroit Lions coach, Dan Campbell, got up immediately, walked right up to the podium in his opening statement, took a total accountability, apologized to Andy Reid, who's the head coach, and took accountability, apologized to Juju Smith-Schuster, and just on behalf of the Lions organization, took accountability and said, "We don't do that. That's not how we act. That is how you do it." They, you just don't disrespect other players. You don't disrespect the game like that. And that's exactly what happened. The Lions going into the half, it was a very close, the second half, it was a very close game. They just couldn't make plays the second half of the game. That was simply it. And that's exactly what Campbell said. They just were not doing what they needed to do. They couldn't get it going. And, it was clearly a fight started by Branch. You saw the video. Now, the announcers did make it clear the officials were off the field, which is my thought of them saying that, is that this is now going to be 100% on the league to make a determination, because there were no officials on the field to see what happened. And so I think that's a kind of a tell too. But it just got away from the Lions. I mean, Goff had 203 yards for 2 tutties, but Mahomes had a night, 257 yards, 3 tutties, 32 yards rushing, and rushing touchdown. It was the night of the tight ends. You had Travis Kelce, 78 yards, which is a season high. And then you had Laporta for the Lions, 55 yards and a touchdown. But the man of the night, Hollywood Brown, who I did not start.
I did not either.
45 yards, 2 tutties, and only 4 targets, and he got that.
Well, and I apologize for the kids that are watching, but actually, Night of the Tight Ends was a movie that Gabe was in college when he just needed the money. So, sorry.
Yeah, well,
nice,
thanks for bringing
nice.
that up, but yeah.
Nice.
Well, the good thing, just staying on tight ends for a second, and the best thing about that is that Travis Kelce had a good night, but not a great night.
Yeah.
That didn't mess up any of my fantasy games where I was playing against him in multiple.
Right. But man, that he landed on top of his head
Yeah.
and one of those tackles, which you always got to be a little concerned about that when any player ends up butt over tea kettle on that, because you don't ever want to see that, especially a big man like that. Um, and did get a completion though on that play, but it was aggressive game. They both sides played hard, but Chiefs just wanted it more, to be fair,
Well,
and it
and
was at home.
yeah, it's bad for the league. The Chiefs are getting, the Chiefs had some stumbles, but they're starting to put it together. Next week they get Rashi Rice back.
Yep.
There's some talk that they're going to be trading for a running back. I don't know about that. They got Kareem Hunt, they have Pacheco. They're both fine. I don't know that they need to be giving up draft capital, but they keep talking about Brees Hall from the Jets getting moved. One of the places that they're talking about Brees Hall getting moved is to the Bears. But there was another international game where the New York Jets played the Denver Broncos, and it was one of the worst games that I've ever seen. And on satellite radio this morning, they were speculating, was this the worst game that anyone has ever seen? So that leads me, you talked a little bit about Zach Robinson, the coach for the Bengals, being on the hot seat. I keep looking at the Jets saying that even though they have a brand new coach who is highly thought of, they're making dumb mistakes here and there.
Yeah.
But the name that you have consistently brought up is
Your namesake.
my fake cousin, Mike McDaniel, down in Miami.
Yeah.
That team is a flipping mess.
Woo. 1-5, and he's hilarious. Can I just say that
dude.
though? Just a hoot. Do yourself a favor and watch Hard Knocks Dolphins if you ever want to have a good time. Binge watch that on HBO Max. But I will say that 1-5 for a team like that, it's an issue, and they did bring in Waller as a tight end who had retired, brought him on. He's had a couple of weeks here that have been stellar. So Tua miraculously their quarterback has stayed healthy in 6 weeks, which is unheard of. And so I haven't paid as close of attention if they've had too many injuries. I actually think
Tyreek Hill for sure. He's out.
Yeah, their receiver, but they do have a couple others that are definitely adequate. Waddle is good. But I think defensively they've had some injuries there. But to my overall point, you've been there a while, in Mike McDaniel, and I don't think he'll make it this season. One that I think he's one that I would say probably give him another week.
He's a tiny, funny dude, and I just don't know that really works in the NFL.
Well, I think he's lost the locker room, but also Tua Tagovailoa went off in the press conference about leadership. Well, you're a captain, you're the quarterback, take care of it. You don't do that. You don't do that in public. Just like, I'm a former legislator. What happens in caucus stays in caucus, and no different. And I do think that I will say this, they've lost these games. They're close, and they've been lost in the last 2 to 5 minutes of the games. So, by field goals, a lot of them have been, just by stupid errors, just got to clean it up, but that's on him. So anyway.
It's on him. I mean, I think that I don't know when Tua's contract is up, but I don't think that he's going to be the long-term solution.
No.
They're going to be looking for a quarterback. But tonight, let's get to
double header, Brian.
We got Atlanta and Buffalo, and Atlanta has been a little bit of an enigma. I can't put my finger on they beat the Vikings. They've looked terrible against some other teams. So I'm not sure exactly what to think of them, but tonight's going to be a real good test for them. Buffalo, coming off their first loss of the season last week, they're going to be playing. They're going to be ticked off and playing hard.
Yep.
Josh Allen is definitely one of my favorite players. He is fantastic. We only talk about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. But let's not forget, Josh Allen's married to Haley Steinfeld, who
There you go.
is certainly a star in her own right. But
Yeah,
anyway, I think that's going to be a really good game. And then you got my Chicago Bears
there you go.
in a revenge game against the Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
Going back to last year, I don't even want to think about it. But if you will recall, the Bears played Washington last year, once again in Washington. So it's weird that they're playing Washington 2 years in a row, both games in Washington.
In Washington.
But anyway, they played them. They played a terrible game, but Bears were in a position to win at the end of the game, and it was real back and forth at the end. And the Bears scored a touchdown, and the game is basically over. The only thing left to do is knock down a Hail Mary from the Commanders, and they instead were playing it up to the crowd, and Tyreek Stevenson was being a jicky jack and just being a doorknob. And what ends up happening? The person that Tyreek Stevenson is supposed to be covering ends up catching a deflected pass. Washington wins. Now, I didn't mind it at the time because I wanted their coach to get fired, and this was a really good bullet point for getting him fired. But the thing that drives me nuts is, Jaden Daniels, the quarterback for Washington, and Caleb Williams, quarterback for the Bears, were in the same draft. Mm-hmm. And there's lots of people that are saying that, well, the Bears made a mistake. They should have drafted Jalen Daniels, and maybe their careers bear that out. Mm-hmm. But at the time, Caleb Williams was the right pick, and Jaden Daniels has had way better talent around him, both in ownership, coaching, and just talent. So I love that they're playing each other. The whole narrative tonight's going to be Caleb versus Washington, Caleb versus Daniels. I think Washington's probably going to win because it's in Washington, but I'm expecting a pretty good game from both quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think the Commanders are favored to win by 4.5. And so it is in Washington. So I think both of those factors probably are going to favor them. Not going to lie. I think it is a revenge game for the Bears. So they're going to come in wanting to prove something up. I just think that coming off a bye week might be a good head clearing opportunity to, kind of reset a little bit, give a little bit of clarity to the Bears, for the rest of the season. So we'll see how they come out and play. I'm kind of taking what you say, which is kind of managing expectations a little bit, and seeing what kind of decisions they make. That's what I'm interested in, because this Commanders are a legit Super Bowl contending team. I'm going to say it. They are. And not going to say the Bears are. And so if the Bears can stay in this game or even weirdly beat them, then it shows that they've made some good decisions and some adjustments after the bye.
Yeah.
And so I do think the Commanders will win, and I am a betting person, and I would bet on a touchdown win over, at least, a touchdown win, if not 10-point win for Commanders. But I do think I think they're going to run against the Bears. I think that's
my prop bet will show you that I agree with you.
Yeah, and I think that it's going to be the quarterback that's going to run. I think a lot. And my prop bet will show you that I don't think Jaden is going to have too many pass attempts. I think they're going to wear down the Bears defense. I think that's where their pass rush, their line, is where they've got to make some more additional work on that.
And I think that the only thing that gives me some, not concern is the wrong word, that gives me some feeling that the Bears have a chance tonight is that Washington's a little banged up.
Yes.
Jaden Daniels missed a game 2 games ago. And that was a knee. I don't know if he's at full strength yet. Terry McLaurin, their wide receiver one, is out. Deebo Samuel, their other big wide receiver, is a little banged up as well. He
always is.
Play, but he'll play. He's always hurt.
And good luck taking him down, Bears. Good luck taking him down, man. Yeah. He's a beast.
But anyway, so we'll have to see how that goes. Kind of excited about it. Question before we get into our prop bets.
Uh-huh.
Is New York Giants running back Cam Scatabo, is he going to be the story of the year? And is it possible that he's anything other than a flash in the pan? He
No.
plays so hard, and it seems to be such a jarhead that he's got to get hurt. But he's fun to watch, man.
So he is legit. He is legit, and so is Dart. So is your quarterback. I think they just saved that guy's job. They
Yeah.
just saved his job. I if you recall, I said the two coaches I didn't think would make the season were Brian Dable and Mike McDaniel, and Dable's going to be fine now.
Yeah.
And you can see the relief in his face on Sunday. They're 2 wins now, and they might be the story of the year if they continue to win with these two. It's fun. They're really fun to watch. And with Neighbors out, I think they just have to lean on other players, and they don't really have a receiving core, and they don't. This is kind of their option right now.
Well, and to that point, there's some talk that because of the emergence of Rome Odunze and Luther Burden III on the Bears, that DJ Moore has been inquired about for a trade. And one of the people that have been talking to him are the Giants, because the Giants have a defensive player that the Bears could use and all that. So DJ Moore going there would be a real interesting development for Dart, and it would be good for his development.
Well, speaking of DJ Moore, because he is my prop bet, for Chicago, I think that would be a great loss for Chicago. So I would be surprised on that. But I think Williams has kind of established a rapport with him. I think that would be a huge disservice for Williams. He's added actually a lot to that offense in terms of leadership and in terms of like just veteran status. Moore's helped in that response.
Well, let's see. Are they going to feed him the ball a bunch tonight?
I do. I think they will. That's my prop bet.
Yeah. All right. So I think with that, let's segue to that. Why don't you talk about your prop bets?
So I think for Chicago, I think that Caleb Williams is going to actually have a little bit of a night in the passing game, and I think it is going to be DJ Moore. I think that the Commanders are going to struggle to contain DJ Moore tonight. So I take DJ Moore over 3.5 receptions tonight. And I think Jaden Daniels, as we've already talked about, I think they're going to run the ball against the Bears. And I'm going to have him under on pass attempts, under 29.5 passing attempts tonight.
Well, how many Big 'em bucks are you going to be betting on each of those?
Oh, I only do $2.
All right.
On the underdog app.
All right. Well, I will do my Bears and Commanders picks, and then we'll do the other game after that. So I agree with you 100%. I think the Commanders are going to run against the Bears. Bears defense has been kind of Swiss cheese this year. They lost Austin Eckler, their starting running back, they being Washington, but they got a rookie that everyone seemed to like, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, who goes by Bill for some reason. I don't know how. I don't know how you get Bill out of Ja'Cory, but they do. So I think that Krosky-Merritt, I am taking the over 67.5 rushing yards. I think that's a pretty safe bet.
Yep.
He's going to get volume and opportunity, and they're going to run.
It's such a good bet, by the way, that between the time you sent it to me, it moved 3 yards. It went up to 70. So yeah,
that was about 10 minutes ago.
So you got in at a good time. Yep.
Yeah, I'll still take 70.5 if that's what's offered. And then for the Bears, they keep drafting tight ends and then they don't do anything with them. They drafted Colston Loveland number 1 this year. He wasn't even the best tight end in the first round, but they haven't been using the tight ends. So their tight end, Cole Kmet, Notre Dame product. I am taking the under 18.5 rushing yards. Looks like that went. Oh no, that's right. 18.5 rushing yards. So I'm taking the under on that. They haven't been using them. He might get a touchdown, but he is not going to get a ton of volume. So Big E. Let's go. And I'm gonna bet. I'm gonna bet 25 Brian bucks on each of those.
That's
So
unprecedented.
let's go to Atlanta and Buffalo.
So here's the thing. Buffalo's coming off a loss to the Patriots, who are in a story of their own, and that's probably a different week. Josh Allen hates to lose because he's one of the most fiercest competitor, and they are probably the favorites for the AFC to be in the Super Bowl. It's their year. It's my opinion, and because I picked them, I'm going to keep saying that. I think it's going to be a close game. I'm going to tell you why. Atlanta has a hot defense. They have a hot defense, and so I think it's going to be a closer game, and it's in Atlanta. But I think the competition is it's going to be a close game. It is. That's all I could say. So I am going to say that Josh Allen is going to be so competitive. He's going to take that team. He's going to put it right on that big, broad shouldered back of his. And he's going to have over 33 rushing yards tonight. Yeah. And then here's the thing. Buffalo does not have a good defense. And their rush, they give up. They're not that good on the rush defense, and so they're going. And they know this because Bijan Robinson is one of the top running backs. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Bijan Robinson is going to have over 76.5 rushing yards tonight because I think Atlanta knows the weakness, obvious, and so they're going to just keep feeding him the ball tonight, and so. There we go.
All right. Well, for me, I'm going to be betting 25 Brian bucks. For Atlanta, I'll stick with tight ends. They got a very talented tight end who is hot garbage statistically, and that's Kyle Pitts. He needs a change of scenery bad.
Yes, he does.
He had a good rookie year, and then that's been about it. So I'm going to take the under on 43 and a half receiving yards. I just don't see him being as heavily used tonight. I think you're right about the rush defense for Buffalo. So I think they're going to be running the ball a ton. So I'll take the under on that. And then I'm also going to use Josh Allen for my prop, but I'm going to take over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I think he'll throw for at least 2. I think he's going to run one in as well. And it's going to be a real good Josh Allen night, which will help me very much in one of my games.
Well, so, you know what also will help you is probably an adult beverage. And we have a sponsor now.
Giddy up. You're right. Yes. So we want to once again thank our sponsor, the Minnesota Licensed Beverage Association. They are a great organization. They're up at the Capitol. They're fighting real hard for liquor retailers in the state of Minnesota. Also, they deal with bars and restaurants as well. With the MLBA, you are not alone. So thank you so much, MLBA. Thank you so much, Carla Bigham. Thank you so much, Gabe Noah. And with that, I am still sad Cubs fan and still hopeful Bears fan, Brian McDaniel.
And I am rested Vikings fan, Carla Bigham.
And we are wrong about sports. All right. Have a good week, everybody. Go Bears.
MBC. No relation to NBC.